the Christmas break, winter break season, but of course, we're still here joining in on this podcast. And I am so excited for you to learn from Maria Carter-Ewald today from Whitmore Lake Public Schools out of Michigan. Maria's done an amazing job in a small little school district of only about 800 students. And she is going to share kind of her journey into that role and how they made a communication director role in that district, which is awesome. She's really used social media to leverage some great fundraising efforts. I'm talking about mega dollars to help make a difference in their school, and I'm really excited for you to learn. Don't forget to check out the show notes because we've got a lot of things there. She actually raised $14,000 in one day, which was like a record way back when she was doing that back in 2015. She's going to talk about video with like a parody of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Hello. You're going to want to listen to that story. She's made a great use out of Facebook Live and Throwback Thursdays and all of the things. You guys are going to get a lot of great ideas, great inspiration from this conversation with Maria. Now, as you're looking forward to 2022, we want to make it the best year yet, right? And I hope that you have checked out all of our free content. But Maria, along with many of you listeners, are part of our membership group. And you guys, as you are doing your budget planning for the 22-23 school year, I just want to invite you to check out socialschoolforedu.com. That's the number 4, edu.com. Check out that membership program. And if you don't have the budget dollars to join now, put that in your budget for next year. Social media can be easy, it can be inspirational. You can be surrounded by a group of people that get you and are really going to help elevate the stories. The impact that we've seen in regards to greater reach and greater impact have been amazing with our members, and so just check that out as you're doing some of that budget planning. But I guess without further delay, let's jump in to today's awesome interview with Maria. Let's go. All right, your K-12 PR tip. You guys, if you're listening to this live, it's over the holiday break. And some of you are always wondering, well, how often should I be posting over the holiday break? Great question. Everybody deserves a break. But with the algorithms, it's really hard to take a whole week off. So I really recommend trying to at least post once a day over the holiday break, and that's during the weeks and not on the weekends. But you can definitely still do your Throwback Thursdays, staff features, student features. You can definitely do those things. Your holiday break might be a great time to reflect on some of the top stories that you've shared over the past year. So you could easily highlight some of those things. You could also make a post about when you're going back to school, right? When we'll see everybody again. And another really simple one is for if you're on Instagram, you can actually go to like a top 9. Just type in Instagram top 9 on your web browser, and you can identify your top 9 posts on Instagram over the year of 2021. And that makes a great post, not only on Instagram, but you can pull those posts over to Twitter and Facebook as well. So those are just a few ideas for holiday posts. Don't get bogged down too much. You also might have some leftover pictures that you got in right before the holiday break that you could share over the holidays as well. But trying to post at least once a day is a great goal. And then let's hit the road running in 2022 by really celebrating the great things happening in and out of your classrooms. And you're going to get some great ideas today from Maria. So let's get started with our interview. Hey, welcome to the podcast, Maria.
Thank you.
It's
I'm excited.
I'm so excited to have you here with us. So, for all our listeners who don't know Maria Carter-Ewald, why don't you share your background and your role as the communications director for Whitmore Lake Public Schools?
Okay. Yeah, I started with Whitmore Lake Public Schools in 2010, actually. So I've been here for a little bit, but in a different capacity, a couple different capacities. So I have a degree in journalism with a news editorial focus, and then I had a double minor in public affairs, which is like a mixture of political science and public relations and women's studies. But I graduated college into the recession. It was a little challenging to find a job, and I ended up getting an internship at like an educational like publication company. And when that internship was about to end, my neighbor who worked at Whitmore Public Schools said, "Hey, like they have this posting. It's the director of community recreation." I was like, "Oh, okay, like not really like what I was looking for." She's like, "No, no, no, like they're not looking for someone to run basketball leagues. They like want someone to come in and help with branding, brand awareness, kind of elevating the impression of like the essential services they're providing the community." I was like, "Okay, well maybe." And so I interviewed and ended up getting the job. Uh, so I started there and I was in that role until about 2015. And I feel like this is a bit of a long story, but I feel like it gives the context. During that time, I really was successful in using like social media communications to really help um, gain support of the department. And little did I know, I was working alongside the high school principal as a colleague who then later became the superintendent. And so he became the superintendent in 2014 towards the end of the year. We're a tiny little school district just north of Ann Arbor. We have about 750 to 800 students district wide and about 6,500 people in the town. So it's super small. Well, we had just came off a failed annexation under the previous superintendent in 2014 that fall. And we were just in a bad spot. That superintendent retired. Tom DeKaiser took over. Um, and he came immediate to me and said, "Hey, like you've done great things over here. Like I want you to be on my team." And I was super excited. I was kind of looking for a change. And so I became the director of community recreation and community relations in a dual role. And so we really hit the ground running. The district was in a bad place public relation wise. We had been dragged through the mud through the annexation part. We were in a bad place financially. We really needed to regroup and revamp. And so um, over the past 6 years, we've successfully done that, which has led to this previous summer, I got moved into a full time communications role. So my title changed to Director of Communications, which my superintendent says is a working title.
Oh,
So we'll see.
that's awesome.
Um,
That
and really, like within that role, it's pretty much like anything. I am a one person shop because we are so small. So like I really take the strategy piece of communication, executing, evaluating any communication within district, marketing, really with the goal of elevating our brand as a school, as an employer, as a community partner. So that's kind of evolved with COVID too. I feel like really take the lead on like messaging, um, external internal communications. And then it's also kind of evolved to almost like a human resources vibe. I've taken on recruiting employees, onboarding employees, and company culture,
okay.
in addition to all things social.
Okay.
uh, so, yeah.
You wear many hats. Okay. So a couple questions. So annexation is kind of like when you have to go to ask for more money from your voters, right?
No, so annexation was where the Ann Arbor Public Schools was going to absorb us. We were going to cease to exist.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so
Um,
and luckily that failed, or did your school kind of want that to get absorbed in there?
The previous leadership wanted that.
Oh,
I think for whatever reason, they really saw that as the best option.
okay.
It didn't work, and then they retired, and Tom DeKaiser took over, and we did not see failure as an option. We believed in what we had to offer our community, our students, our families, and we were determined to move forward in a positive way. So he did a lot of, luckily, I always joke, he's not a like think within the box superintendent. He actually like takes that box and throws it out. Like isn't afraid to take risks and be creative and do things completely different, which I think was really helpful with my role, especially in social, because I think admin can be cautious or nervous. And he was just like, no, do what you think needs to be done. And we really another challenge I think we face is we're in between two counties, so we're split. And I think that really is a challenge for communication because we have no media outlet that's willing to own us in a way, unless it's super, super bad. Um, so social is key there too. Like for the after the annexation, we really had no choice but to pound the drum and give everyone nothing to talk about but the good things. Like we were shoving it down their throats basically, like and not in so much like an inauthentic, like, hey, look at us
Right.
way. It was more like, hey, like this is us. Like we have something to offer. We're doing amazing things. We're not gonna lay down and just cease to exist. Like we're gonna thrive, and we have. It's been so exciting to be a part of and to witness. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, very small school district to have a director of communications, which is awesome. I mean, I think every school
yeah.
needs to have a communications person. So, that's great. But what a challenge when you're looking at financial hardship to make an investment in. At first, it was a part-time position, and now it's a full-time position. Um,
Hmm.
can you speak to that at all? Because I mean, you weren't the superintendent, so you weren't the one that had to like maybe convince the school board that no, we really need this position. But there's
Hmm.
probably some folks out there listening that wishes they were like a full-time communications person. Do you know what that process looked like at all?
I think luckily since we're so small, and where we started from, the board really had a lot of trust in our superintendent. And my role, while I was the first one he brought onto his cabinet, it was part of a full like reorganization,
Hmm.
which resulted in him taking on a lot of responsibilities.
Okay.
So he was a high school principal, so he retained the high school principal duties,
Oh,
um, along with being a superintendent.
okay.
He didn't We had some people leave, like our superintendent admin left, and we didn't replace that position. So it was like kind of a combination of like a
Okay.
reorganization. He brought me on, a new dean of students, to provide support on the behavioral side at the high school. It was just part of a whole strategy of what he thought we needed to move forward in a successful way, and did it in a way that the money made sense.
Okay.
Um, so
Awesome. So social media is one of those 52 things that you just talked about doing and helping with, in addition to attracting and onboarding new staff, which I'm sure has become more involved as some of the shortages that we've had. But so, how exactly does social media fit into your role? What channels are you responsible for? That kind of thing.
yeah, I would say when my role first started, social was my primary
Okay.
focus. We don't have separate building pages. We have a district page. We do have some department pages like athletics, club pages, things like that. But I don't oversee them. I do oversee them, but I don't create content for them.
Okay.
So we have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then we do have an app, like a school app that has a live feed capacity on it. Um, so my role is the strategy, creating all the content, executing it, and evaluating it.
Okay.
So I am it. Um,
Do you guys have more than one school building in your district?
yes, we have a K through 6 building
Okay.
and a 7th through 12th building.
Okay.
Then we have a early childhood center and a Montessori magnet program that's in a separate
Okay.
building.
So, how do you get content for those district pages? Because you can't be at all of those places all at once, in addition to everything else you do. So, how do you get content,
Yeah.
Maria?
It's a challenge. I think COVID, I feel like there's a pre-COVID answer and a
Yeah.
post-COVID answer. Pre-COVID, I really tried to be on site as much as I could, which with doing a dual role was very challenging because I had responsibilities on the community rec side that took me away. But I really tried to, be present in the buildings. And then it was really hitting home with our staff the value of this tool. To achieve the goals that we needed to. And I would say pre-COVID, it was I got a lot more content. We use Thrillshare
Mhm.
with Apogee, and so that's a really nice tool where they can submit their own content pretty easily. But I also open myself up to text or social media, email to direct people to if they, aren't super comfortable with the Thrillshare app. But it's a challenge. It is,
Yeah.
especially now. I feel like it's been much more challenging to have dynamic content because our staff's tapped.
Yeah.
So luckily with this role that does free me up a lot more, takes the community rec responsibilities away to where I can get into the spaces.
Okay, that's great. So it's a really powerful tool, social media, and you recently leveraged the power of social media to raise money for an important cause. So can you tell me a little bit about the fundraising effort?
Yeah, when we saw the impact social had had in really helping us like tell our story and people kind of essentially picking up what we were putting down. Like I said, post annexation, we were in a bad place financially. And so the first time this came up was the fall of 2015. So, like, I've been in the role for almost a year. And our superintendent came to me and said, hey, like, we need to get more devices in the hands of our students. What can we do? I was like, well, let's do a fundraiser. And I think everyone was panicked, like, oh my gosh, she's going to like make us sell cookies or something. This is not going to be fun. I was like, no, 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 like crowdfunding. Like we have the audience, they're engaged on social, like we could make this happen. And so we ended up um long story, I said Giving Tuesday's coming up, like we could leverage that. I think it was like 6 weeks out. So we ended up coming up with we kind of looked at how much technology we needed and what was reasonable to ask for. And so we set on 60 Chromebooks, which essentially be 3 carts that we could use between our 2 buildings, which now doesn't seem like a lot because we are one-on-one now. But at that moment it was big. And so it was called 60 Chromebooks in 60 days. And so we were looking to raise $12,000, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're a small community, it is. And our socioeconomic status is quite low. So it was an ask. And so we, yes, did a lot of back end content creation. I think I made a list of like 60 ways we would use this in a classroom to push out on social. We created really engaging graphics that were really high brands. We did some reach out in the buildings, asking the kids to help spread the word. We partnered with Pledge Sense, which is kind of like Donor Choose, but a little bit more flexible. Like you don't have to buy within their vendors. They're a really great company to work with. And so we went live on Giving Tuesday. We did with social. I think it's really nice that you can use it to build up that excitement. So, we create an event 2 weeks in advance. We invite all the people we can think of that would be involved. And then you post in that event to get people excited about it. And then the fundraiser goes live. And this was before, fundraising, Facebook giving was a thing.
Right.
um, and so we went live and we raised $14,000 in one day,
Oh my.
less than 24 hours. And so we kind of regrouped. We did not anticipate that. Pledge Sense was blown away. We were by far their biggest like fundraiser in that amount of time. And so we ended up then extending we had like in the graphics crossed out 60 and put 90. We were like, okay, we'll do 90 Chromebooks in 90 days. And we ended up raising $19,000 in 2 weeks. And it was like, okay, like this is amazing.
And we're
The social,
what
I think, was a huge piece of
yeah,
it.
quick question, Maria. Were most of those donations individuals or was that some of the local businesses participating or what?
I think it was a combination. I did try to do some legwork leading up to it. Matching funds is always really compelling to people, so I tried to secure a couple matches. So like I would, post on our Facebook page like anyone who donates between noon and 1 p.m. like will be matched by this business or this donor or, and that really helped get the momentum going.
Mhm.
Um for sure. So that helps. I think social is great with that. You can use it to uh, like achieve mini goals as you go. It helps you provide like real time updates to people. Like imagine that money pouring in. I was just like, here's an update, here's an update, like here's an update. And I think that just kept the momentum going and got people excited. So that helped a lot, and I think social too helped in that you can do a little peer pressure. The beauty of tagging, like, hey, I donated $5. Can the would five of my friends consider donating $5? And before you know it, like it just snowballs. So we leverage that quite a bit. Um, and then, like, once we were able to wrap up the campaign, I think something that's really helpful with social and doing these type of things is donor relations. They make it so easy. You can thank them immediately, publicly. I would put together graphics listing everyone that had donated and posting it so they could see their name. They love that. You can tag them in it. So that was really helpful. And then, really, I thought the biggest piece was that I could capture the impact afterwards. So, like, I posted a picture of the boxes of the computers that had shown up, and it was so powerful. Like, people loved it, and then showing them videos of the kids using those devices, achieving what we told them we would achieve, um, really helped. I feel like when we went back to ask for another thing, like, helped so much because they, like, okay, they delivered, like, what they sought to do, they did, and I helped make that happen for that kid. So it was really great, super exciting. So we ended up, like, that was just like that first, like, little check box, like, we did it, and then we've kind of replicated it time and time again.
And you did this when, some of the tools that are available now on Facebook, weren't even there. Maria, do you have anything pulled together like on a Google Doc that has some of like all of those examples that you shared?
Yeah,
Because I'd love to be able to link that in the show notes for folks. I mean, I think we're at
okay,
a point, many of our listeners are like, oh my gosh, we have a financial need and our, budgets are really tight. COVID has eaten up a lot of the money. There's just some needs. And I could see just, you've given so many great examples of, hey, I donated $5, tag a friend, take five friends that could donate $5, opening up the Chromebooks when they come in. I mean, there's just so many components. So I think pulling together some of those examples would be amazing. You said you
okay,
pulled in $19,000 in 2 weeks. Did you end up just kind of
yes.
shutting that down then because you raised so much money in that two weeks time frame, so you didn't have to do the 90 days?
Yeah, we raised enough to do 90 Chromebooks, so we shut it down at that point, and moved on to the next, and I really think just it was the first time since, the new leadership had taken over post annexation, that we had gone to our community and asked for support.
Hmm.
And I think it was just such a positive experience. It just opened the doors so much for us. Like, we ended up going, it really gave our board confidence, I feel like, to go and ask the voters. So we ended up a year later asking for a sinking fund.
Okay.
Um, I don't know, unfortunately, fortunately, I was glad I had a baby, but I was on maternity leave when they went for the sinking fund and it didn't pass. But we went when I got back in August. We asked in November and it passed,
Okay.
which I think shows the power of communication, right?
Right.
Like, getting the information out. And then we just snowballed from there. In the spring 2018, we did Project Playground, 50K to play. And so we needed to redo our whole elementary playground. And we used about $110,000 from our sinking fund to address, like, all the drainage issues out there because it was a mud pit. And we were asking the community to help us raise $50,000 in 4 months. Um, 18 of that was raised on social, um, and then the rest was raised in other capacities, but we ended up raising $75,000.
Wow.
Which I have to say, I think 15 of it came from winning a Kaboom grant, from a video that I wrote a parody of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air rap and 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 recorded a video on my iPhone.
Okay,
And
so
then
everybody wants to see that, Maria. So
I'll have to share
you
that.
share that.
It's probably one of my favorite things we've ever done. I made my superintendent rap. He had his hat on sideways.
I
Like, it
love
was
it because I think there's a new show coming out that is like a remix of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And anybody, I graduated back in 96. I think you're a little bit younger than me, but it was really popular show. So oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it.
'cause the playground was built in the '90s.
Okay.
So I was trying to brainstorm, like, ways to creatively, like, pitch this, and I was like, "It's built in the '90s. Let's go back to the '90s."
Yeah. Oh,
So, yeah,
I
anyways,
love it.
but we've used social a lot since then, like, passed another sinking fund in 2018, a rec millage in 2019, which I feel like social was a big piece of that, and then we've used Facebook Giving successfully over the past 2 years. Fall 2020, we did, like, a back to school supplies drive. We always do an Amazon wish list for all of our staff, and we raised over $8,000 for that in partnership with our police and fire. They helped us, and then, that Giving Tuesday, we raised a little over $10,000 for our scholarship fund for our seniors, and then just 2 days ago, I wrapped up another Giving Tuesday with Facebook Giving, and it was about $7,500, for our scholarship fund.
Guys, this
So it works.
yeah, so
It does. I
we've
mean,
got links to all your social channels so you can kind of look back and see the kind of stories. And Maria doesn't just use it for fundraising, so we're going to talk about a little bit of
no.
that. But there's a big story there to tell. I mean, you are a small community; those are big chunks of money that really
Yeah.
help, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I kinda get goosebumps even talking about it, because I mean, I'm not the best at tooting my horn, and I feel like that's what we've been chatting about. Because I wanna say, like, obviously, none of this would be possible without the foundation that we have here of our staff, our students, our family, our alumni, like, I know everyone you talk to, it's our job to say how amazing our school is, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, "This place, it's special." Like, it is. There's just something, like, I was a graduate K through 12 of Whitmer Public Schools too. So, I think that gives me an edge in how I approach things. And we always joke, like, as an employer, we say it's like the mafia. Like, once you get in, it doesn't let you out. And it's true. Like, there's something about this community that grabs you, and you just never leave it behind. You take it with you. And like that $10,000, that $7,000, those were all from alumni. Um, which we did an alumni Trojan Pride battle of the decades. And so, like, yeah, there's just something about this place that people really carry with them and want to support. So it's
I think I
beautiful.
just saw a really great graphic of showing that battle of the decades and which one won. And did you do that
Hmm.
graphic too? Okay,
Yes.
awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. And I just realized so I pronounced your and probably a lot of people do. It's Whitmore.
Nope. Just Whitmore.
Whitmore? Oh, okay, okay. Whitmore Pet Lake Public Schools. Okay, sorry.
Hmm.
Oh, maybe I was
No, you're
listening to
good.
your Whitmore Lake and then I was thinking it was anyways, I say a lot of things weird, so it's not
I was gonna say I'm from We're from the
right,
Midwest, right?
right. We speak the same language. So your social media pages really are flourishing besides the fundraising.
Hmm.
And a lot of times you're outperforming larger districts around you, which is always fun, right? You guys are close
It
to Ann
is.
Arbor. So what would you say is your secret, Maria, for outperforming those larger districts?
You know, putting aside like how amazing our community is, I think, when Tom brought me on board in 2015, um, a lot of schools in our area weren't using social the way we started using it. So I feel like it was kind of new. But really, what I think has been so helpful is, and I credit Tom for this too, like, he lets us move forward with a very authentic, like, accessible voice.
Mhm.
Like, we're not trying to seem like highfalutin and elitist or, stuck in academia on our social pages. Like, we have fun with it. We use humor. Um, and I think that's really helped make our content more engaging. People, aren't they like to respond, they like to comment, they like to join in the conversation, because it's a conversation. It's not us saying, like, "Hey, look at us." It's like, "Hey, this is us. Like, you wanna be a part of it. Like, you wanna join us. Like, isn't this awesome?" Like, um, so I think that's really helped. And I think when we always try to stay away from more informational posts now, like, we're here to tell our story, but I think at the very beginning, I really tried to use it as an informational tool to hook people,
Mhm.
to get them, to see those pages as like the spot to be. Like, if you wanted to be on the inside of our community, like that was where you should be. Was like I always get so mad when our superintendent announces snow days before he lets me know and I can post on social. I'm like, no, like it has to go on social. Like that's where like the people get their info. Like you want them to be on there.
Right.
Then you can call them
Right.
and let them know. But and I'm pretty strategic. Like I really we're lucky because we just have a district page, so I can really cater to all the like think about all the audiences we have and create content that I think will be engaging for them, that they will appreciate and want to be a part of.
Right. Definitely.
So
What are some of the best stories, if you just could think back, to maybe one or two stories that you were able to share on your social media pages that were really engaging? What were those?
So I spent some time like looking through because it's 6 years worth of stuff, so it's hard to remember. Like our superintendent's really great about doing whatever I kind of ask him to do. So we do Facebook Live Fridays.
Okay.
We haven't since COVID. We've kind of slowed things down, but our very first year, our Facebook Live Friday gimmick was a school bus. So he would get on a school bus. We would drive around town with his guest as he interviewed them. Um, and it was this super cute graphic of like a cartoon bus with, and but his face was on the driver's. I don't know, it was super cute. But my favorite was the kindergartners. I got like 4 or 5 kindergartners to join him on the school bus to just chat about school, and one kid went on. I mean, you never know what 5-year-olds are gonna say,
Right.
and he went on about his love for cheese for, like, a few minutes, and Tom said, like, "If cheese is wrong, I don't wanna be right," which sounds so silly, but it was just such a fun, like, lighthearted moment. I think the Throwback Thursdays, um, while I feel guilty about them being my favorite because 'cause they're so easy, like, I love them. Like, it's so fun to see people engage with that. I really enjoy, anytime we give shout outs to previous teachers and students comment, and then those teachers come in and respond, I think is such a powerful moment, and really shows you like the connection that we provide on social for our community, and it shows like the power of what we're doing as a school.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that one. I just did one over Thanksgiving for our science teacher who was at the school for like 40 years. And to see all of the past, I mean, decades of students comment about what a difference he made and how he believed in them and that made them want to become a teacher. And like, that's really, really powerful stuff, right? So if
it
you're looking for a
is.
good Throwback Thursday, grab a staff member of the past that maybe has impacted folks and share that out and watch the engagement flourish. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I would say one more was, um, I'm in Michigan, and the Oxford shooting was very recent and not super far from us. And so it got me think. We did have a threat about 2, 3 years ago. I feel like, which sounds like shouldn't be in my. Obviously, it's not my favorite story, but it was a moment. When I started, I created our school hashtag Trojan Pride, hashtag Trojan Pride, and so it was the day of the shooting or day of the threat. Everything was neutralized. It didn't end up being like executed or anything. And so our kids were going to where to Twitter. That was where they were at that point, um, sharing their feelings with each other. And I was monitoring it. And Trojan Pride took off. Like they grabbed a hold of that hashtag. Like to me, I know I made it as part of like a marketing thing. But at that moment, as the kids were using it as a way to share what was special to them about their school, to share their connection, to share their support for each other. Um, it meant like it just took on a whole makes like took on a whole new meaning, and it was such a powerful moment that was kind of like it really reminded me like why I do what I do
Mhm.
and the impact it can have. Um, so yeah, that was out of a bad situation, it was a bright
Yeah. Oh,
moment. And I feel like that hashtag just kind of took on a whole new, like, meaning for our school
yeah.
after that, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's
anyway.
the power, Marie, and I hear you get a little choked up, and that's the heart and soul of the school communicator group out there across the country, across the world. You guys have such a passion for what you do, and then to be able to hold together in those moments of crises, right? And then
Mhm.
to see some of your work pay off in regards to, reuniting. And you guys do have such a small community, but then rallying around that. Your
Mhm.
community is really lucky to have you, Maria,
Oh, thanks.
and being a graduate of there and all of that. So,
Yes.
you are part of our membership group here at Social School for EDU, and we're all about offering ongoing training and support. And you who are listening, you're definitely welcome to check it out. But how has that helped? Being part of that group, Maria. How has that helped make your job a little bit easier?
Well, it's so funny, Andrea. I started my role in January 2015. When did you start social school for
I
you?
started in 2014.
See, like, I feel like it was right at I when I was thinking about this, I was like, I feel like in those NPR shows where they're like, "Long time listener, first time caller." Like, I feel like you've been a part of my life for so long.
Yes.
Like, I was on that first summer camp you did. That was so amazing. Like, I've used your tools from day one. Of course, like, budget is always an issue, and so I feel like I was, like, desperate to join the membership, and then you made it available to everyone during COVID, which was like, I mean, unbelievably generous and helpful to have like a community of people facing the similar challenges because you are often a one person shop. And at that point, I was still a half person shop. So it was so valuable. And then I did the first challenge you did,
Mhm,
and it was, like, revolutionary. Like, it just changed my life, and really, especially post-COVID, it's so hard to get creative, and I feel like it really, like, helped me get back to where I needed to be, and I was like, "That's it. I'm doing it." So it's like reaching out to my admin. It's like I really think this is going to be so beneficial to me as a professional, to the district, to our social presence. I think it's just that it's the support of having like-minded, like challenged people, and the uniqueness, the creativity that you provide in that membership group of kind of um, jolting us into a new direction, challenging us into trying new things. And then also as a previous half person, the tools you provide that help make things more efficient,
mhm,
I think are invaluable. Because I'm a big believer in just making some things automated,
mhm.
uh, that allow you to then be more creative with your time. If you can make things easier, then you have more time available to be more creative and try new things. So, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, yeah, and we're open. Check us out, socialschoolforedu.com. I know some of you are like, it's not my budget, but you're planning for your budget for next year. So just jump on over to my website and take a look at it. You can have up to 3 members from your school district for one low price, and we'd love to have you. Our time has flown by, Maria.
I
We're
know.
knocking on the door of needing to hang up, but as we kind of end, and you've provided so many great ideas. I can't wait to have people listen to Fresh Prince of Bel Air rap and get some of these tips and tricks on the fundraising. But what would you say is your best social media tip, to leave folks with?
I mean, Facebook is so tricky with getting in front of people, right? We all face the algorithm. And I think I've shared before, like, if anyone engages with your content, engage back. Whether that's a simple emoji, we have fun with memes on our or GIFs on our page, or I'll just say a quick thank you. Um, they've taken that time is so precious, right? Especially for parents, and if they're taking a little bit of their time to engage with what you put out there, just thank them. Just give a little bit back, and that'll keep them coming back, and that just helps you in the long run get your content in front of more people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here, Maria. If people want to stay connected to you, what would be the best way?
So I'm not very good at Twitter, so I won't share that. But Facebook is great. Maria Carter hyphen Ewald. LinkedIn, I'd love to connect on there. And then my email is maria.carter hyphen Ewald. That's EWALD at WLPS
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to make sure to leave your email in the show notes. So if you want to reach out for more information, but check out all the show notes because we'll give a link to some of those fundraising efforts. But you may want to reach out directly as well. Thanks so much for sharing with our audience
Well, thanks
today.
for having me.
And you guys, let's make 2022 like the best year yet, right? It's definitely been a hard go of it, but together we're better, and we'll definitely see you here next week on the podcast as well. But thanks for joining us, Maria. Bye bye, guys.
Thank you.